Slinging magic is always a good time, okay? And it doesn't really matter who you are. We all wish we could inherently do magic, but some people want to do it in different ways. All right, now whether you want it to be innately just from yourself, or you want to cast spells with a sword, we got you covered today. Now, the first set of subclasses we're going to be talking about are the sorcerers. And a sorcerer, as we kind of alluded to in the beginning of the video, is someone who the magic is innately from them. So the subclasses are going to represent that, with them being almost like your pseudo bloodlines of where your magic is coming from. Now, this first sorcerer subclass is going to be Angelic, and this Angelic is going to give you the Celestial Spark class feature, and this subclass feature provides you with a nice little, almost like an extra flavor feature, which is for a minor action, which is this game's kind of version of a free action. You can get one per turn. You can start emitting a light up to 5 spaces, just a small light, nothing major, and then you can turn it off whenever you want. Nice little flavor addition. The next feature you get is Celestial Origin, and because of this angelic power that you have, you're going to get 2 additional ancestry points that can only be used into the angelic ancestry. Whether you have it or not, you have some kind of angel in you, in your blood, however you want to word it in your game, so you get some ancestry points to use for that. After that, you're going to gain Celestial Protection, and this allows you to gain the Careful Meta Magic option. Meta Magic, just as a quick layover, basically just lets you alter your spells in unique ways that other spell casting classes wouldn't be able to, and the Careful one just lets you avoid hitting your teammates if you're using things like Area of Effects, and this lets you learn that for free and spend 0 MP to do it, which is really, really helpful. And on top of all of that, if you already have it, you can just learn a different one for free, but that 0 mana cost only applies to the Careful Meta Magic option. And finally, your last combat feature is going to be Celestial Overload. Now, this basically plays into a class feature, which is when you overload yourself for 2 action points and you become really strong, really powerful, but you have to make exhaustion checks. With this, whenever you are overloaded, you can spend an action point, and creatures of your choice are either going to get healed 1 within a 5-space area near you, or you can deal 1 radiant damage to creatures of your choice around you. So, kind of nice, just gives you a free little 1 action point area of effect thing to do that, is just nice to have. Now, the flavor feature you get for this subclass is about as flavorful as it gets of its celestial appearance. Your appearance becomes more angelic, and it does say if you already have an angelic appearance because there is an angel-born ancestry, those traits that you already have are just exemplified, and they get even stronger, brighter, bigger, whatever, however you want to put it. And then on top of that, you do gain a, check or a mastery level in the celestial language. It does clarify if you are already fluent in Celestial, then you are allowed to pick another one of your choice. If Angelic is not your style though, do not fret. You can be a dragon instead. If you do go the Draconic route, then very, very similarly to if you went the Angelic route, you are going to have the Draconic Origin, in which you have 2 ancestry points to spend in Dragonborn. Again, it's only in Dragonborn. If you are already a Dragonborn, that's totally fine. You can take more things, yada, yada, yada. Now, while we're talking about this, you may notice a pattern because Draconic sorcerers also get Draconic Overload, which plays with your Overload feature like we talked about with Angelic. But in this case, when you are overloaded, you are going to gain Resistance 1 to physical damage. Very, very nice. And then also you will gain your Draconic Origin damage type. So again, just is a ancestry thing of you are going to dig deeper into those Draconic features. And then for your final combat feature, you're going to have Draconic Transmutation, which gives you the Transmutation Metamagic ability, which typically lets you shift the damage type of a spell to something else. This one, if you use it for 0 MP, just like the Angelic one, as long as you are doing it to your Draconic damage type, then if you choose to do that, it will cost you 0. If you want to swap it to something else, it'll still cost you that usual MP cost. But because it is your inherent Draconic nature, if you're pushing towards that direction, it won't cost you anything extra. And not that this final flavor feature needs much explanation, but it is Draconic Appearance, which just like Angelic Appearance, it'll basically just have you becoming more dragon-like. So if you have Draconic features already, such as scales, talons, whatever, things of that nature, claws, those are going to be exemplified, or you start growing them if you didn't have them before. And then you also get the fluence in Draconic, or the language point towards it. If you already have it, you can pick another language, we get it. You might be thinking to yourself at this point, man, I don't want to be the magic, I want to use it. I want to maybe even imbue it into a sword, okay? And that is where Spellblade comes in and comes in hot. And for all you Paladin lovers, Well, here you go. If you didn't catch the subtle hint, Paladin is the first subclass of the Spellblades, and Spellblade Paladins get things that you would imagine Spellblades have. So the first feature is going to be Aura of Protection, and this is going to be creatures of your choice within 2 spaces have advantage on mental saves. Real nice, real handy. After that, you're going to gain the Divine Strike feature, which is basically just whenever you use Spell Strike, which is a class feature that allows you to do an attack and a spell within the same action. You don't have to spend 2 different action points to do it. You can change this damage to Radiant or Umbral. So you can be a little Dark Paladin, important to remember. Your final combat feature for Paladin is going to be Lay on Hands, in which you gain the Acolyte Spellblade Discipline. Spellblade Disciplines are like class features that you get to pick 2 of initially. This one's going to give you an extra one. If you already have it, you can take another one, just like most of them, you don't miss out. And then with this, whenever you choose to use this actual discipline compared to other ones, you can use it without spending MP, and you'll also get a +5 bonus to the check when doing so. And I know what some of you Paladin lovers are thinking, where's our oath? Well, that, thankfully, is your flavor feature. And this flavor feature is actually pretty sick, because at the end of the day, you can make whatever you want, all right? Now, I have an example here. There are many of other tenets that you can just pick from, but whenever you are following your oath, you have advantage on checks made to convince non-hostile people to join you in doing so and following this oath, basically. And there's also a whole thing about DC tip warnings, where, you know, if you can sense that a Paladin's about to break it, the DM can kind of give you warnings by getting headaches and things like that. But hey, nothing wrong with a little Oathbreaker Paladin. Following up the Almighty Paladin, we do have the Rune Knight Spellblade, which, if I'm going to be honest, is my favorite between the two, because you get to add runes to your weapon. So you're already casting spells and stuff through your weapon, then on top of it you can put runes and inscribe runes to make it stronger. And to nobody's surprise, the first feature is going to be the Rune Weapon feature for the Rune Knight, and this basically just talks about how you can only have 1 rune at a time on your weapon, but when you do a quick rest, you can swap, because you can know up to 2 different runes. Now this right here that I'm showing you is just an example of one of the runes. I'm not going to go through all of them because, well, honestly, I just think they're kind of fun to look through, and also, my personal opinion, don't be afraid to make your own rune. Talk to your DM about it if you want something more creative or something, you know, a little unique. However, the way these runes work is they are all pretty like elemental based, and they're all going to come with an active effect and a passive effect. So using this earth rune as an example, your more active effect, so to speak, would be Earthquake, where when you smite a target, you can create a difficult terrain area. And then your passive effect, quote unquote, is going to be Unmovable, where you have advantage on checks and saves against being knocked prone. Now again, all of these runes are different. They're going to have different effects, and you can swap between them on quick rests. So it's kind of nice because, especially if you're like, you know, you just finished a combat and you know another one's coming up, but you know you need to be a little more tanky, or maybe you know that people like to grapple or shove a lot or anything like that, you can swap between trying to, you know, give yourself the best odds. And then last but certainly not least, we have Rune Expert, which is your flavor feature, which is super simple. It's just going to give you advantage on any checks made to understand the purpose and meaning of any magical rune you see. There's also a list of like some fun different names that are like Nordic and Latin versions of the names of the runes, so kind of fun that they provide that. But hey, a simple but I dare say effective class flavor feature. Unfortunately, that will be it for our spell slinging friends and their subclasses. I hope you guys enjoyed. I think these subclasses are super sick. If you like what you see and you want to get the DC20 book, there's a link in the description that links you straight to the website where you can get the PDF. It also helps support me as a creator, which I always appreciate. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see you on the next one. Peace out.